Hey everybody, this is David with Divi Space. We hope you enjoy this webinar by S.J. James and myself. And this week we covered Divi plus Local by Flywheel. We're doing webinars now on Divi Space's Facebook Live page every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Daylight Time. We hope you come out and join us. Enjoy the video.
The screen, I want it to, unfortunately. Give me 2 seconds.
Okay.
But I don't just want to share...
Netflix?
Oh, best case scenario, it's Netflix.
Best case scenario.
Let me just see what happens when I share this, because this is the right screen, but it just doesn't look like it's recognizing anything. Is this Facebook?
It is Facebook, yes.
Okay, cool. So we'll just use this screen then, because there seems to be some issues.
Okay, yeah. And that is an awesome desktop. I gotta say, man, it's an awesome desktop.
You got to keep the Harry Potter fandom alive. We've got to do it.
Absolutely.
So can you see this local web page here? Yeah,
I do. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So local is, as I mentioned, it's a software that you can download, and it will allow you to create websites on your computer. There's lots of different ones that you could get and could use, and we'll talk through the reasons that I think local is the best solution for most people. There are slightly faster ones. There are slightly more capable ones in terms of add-ons and development. But Flywheel works really well. And the first thing to mention is that it has a great UI. So if you're somebody that appreciates design, you like something good to look at while you're working, then Flywheel Local is going to be great for you. It's one of the things that drew me to it originally. What I want to do then is just show you how you can get it. So if you head to local.getflywheel.com, you can grab a free download. I think it asks you for an email address, and that's about it. And then it will just start downloading for you. It talks through some of the features here on the homepage. I just want to talk through some of them. You've got the speed and simplicity of it. It really is a one-click install of WordPress, and then you're just adding the things on top of that you need for a development install. Simple demo URL. So it creates, each one is a local install. So you'll be able to go into any browser and visit it. So you can go into Chrome, you can see the website live as if it exists in the real world. But in fact, it's just on your computer. So nobody else is seeing it, just you. We've got access to SSH and WordPress CLI, which allows us to do command lines. It's a command line interface to upload plugins, things like that we can do very, very quickly, rather than going to the repo and manually downloading and installing it, which all takes time. So this is all really about improving your workflow, making things as fast as possible for you. As mentioned, it's a one-click WordPress installation of WordPress. I've never had to rely on the support for anything, but I hear good things about the support. And there's a flexible environment, and we'll talk more about that as we go through. So what I want to do, first of all, is just open up the local interface, which is just this that you can see here. So when you log in, it will create this software for you, and you can create local sites. One second, let me just adjust the sizing of this. Can't seem to grab it. 1 second. I don't know why this is behaving like this, but it's annoying me.
Maybe your computer's sick too?
It very well could be. It wouldn't surprise me.
Maybe you got it.
Okay, there we go.
Go ahead.
We got there in the end. So yeah, when you install this, you'll see any sites that you've already created. I've created a couple just for testing and playing around. But on here, we can just click on this big old plus sign on the left-hand side. And we can choose to add a site. So we're just going to call this a local demo. And here you can then choose your environment. So when you actually sign up and you start the software, it will ask you if you have any preferences. And I've given these preferences because these reflect my my server, where I could potentially be uploading sites if I like what I'm creating. But you can also just use the preferred, which is PHP 7.17, web server, Nginx plus Varnish, and then MySQL 5.6. And this will come with Flywheel support. So if you are hosted on Flywheel, and you use this preferred option, you'll very quickly be able to just connect your site straight to Flywheel and swap from being on a local install to being on a server install. You can, if you are not using Flywheel and you have your own environment and you know the specs of the server where the site could potentially end up once you've created it, then you can enter those specs here. So you can choose your version of PHP. You can choose between an Nginx and an Apache server, and you can choose your version of MySQL. So what this is going to do, if you're using a particular server, you want to try and match as best you can to this. And that's going to minify the amount of issues that you have when moving from a local install to a live install. And then we're just going to click continue. It's going to use the WordPress username, password, and email that's been set up while setting up this software. And then all that's going to do is it's going to, I don't know if you can see this, it's just going to say, do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? That's just a Node.js, which is what's actually powering Flywheel behind the scenes. There are a couple of things it will ask you to install when you install local, and Node.js is one of them if you haven't already got it installed on your computer. So while that's going on in the background, I just want to talk about one of the features that is available through Flywheel Local, and that is access to the command line interface for WordPress, or what's more commonly referred to as the WordPress CLI, WP CLI. If you haven't used that before, what it is, it's a list of commands that you can give on directly to an install that will allow it to do things like update themes, update WordPress, check posts, install plugins, deactivate plugins, all kinds of things like that, which is going to save you time. So once this is, you can see it's adding, you can see at the bottom here, it says it's adding WordPress and it's doing various things behind the scenes while this loads. Now, this isn't the fastest install of any local developments I've used. So if you look at things like desktop server or XAMPP or WAMP or MAMP, whichever one of those you use, depending on which computer you have, they can be quite fast, faster than local in my experience, but it's the features that are available within local that make this my go-to software. And we'll talk through some of those features in a sec.
And this is 100% free on the standard version. You can, is it limited on number of sites you spin up? Do you have to delete some after to make room, or?
No, the only limitation you're going to have is on what your computer can handle. So because it's installing locally, there's no memory limit, only the amount of space that you have on your computer. There's it mentions a pro version that's in the making, but there isn't a pro version yet. So this is the free version, is the only version that exists.
Okay.
I believe it was I believe they bought the nuts and bolts of this product from a different company. It was named something else.
Gotcha.
And they essentially just are using it as a tool now to encourage people to use Flywheel hosting, but I don't use Flywheel hosting, and I still choose to use local because I just find the setup is so much more user-friendly than some of the other systems that are out there, especially if you're not somebody that likes to mess around too much with like Nginx or Apache and PHP versions, and you just want something that works. This works very well.
Yeah, I'm looking at the, coming soon, remote site importing, premium support, off-site backups for your local sites. I'm assuming that's going to be in their pro version and stuff. So,
yeah, I think so. I think they're they've been talking about a pro version almost as long as there's been the free version, I think. But this has been around for a while, and there still isn't any pro version. Whereas the free version seems to just grow in functionality all the time. So I think what they're trying to do is just make a really kick-ass product first of all,
Right.
and then they'll look at how they can potentially monetize it.
Speaking of kick-ass products, SJ, do we have any new kick-ass products?
Well,
I'm just trying to kill time as you're loading your stuff there. So.
Well, there we go. So that's loaded now. So all you're seeing here then is
we're seeing a black screen right now is what we are seeing. At least I am. If you guys can confirm on Facebook or Zoom, let me know if you still see a black screen. You may want to stop sharing and reshare the screen, SJ, just to try that out.
Okay.
There you go. And yes, now we can see it. Now we see Slack. So
we see it. Okay, that's actually better because that means that I can move this stuff onto my larger screen.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay, cool. That's just going to annoy me otherwise. There we go. So here you can see that we've got some tabs up here. We've got the site set up. It lets you know which version of WordPress you're running. It tells you that you're on a local version. Confirms to you that the PHP version and web server are as you've set up. The MySQL version, site name, everything else that you need to know. From here, you can see that you can connect to the database if you want to. So if you actually want to make changes to the database, you can. And you just do that by clicking on that add miner, and that will actually open this for you. So you can actually go in and you can edit the WordPress tables straight from your browser, which is very, very handy. Let me just get rid of that. If you want to, you can install an SSL certificate. So if your live version is going to have an SSL certificate and you want to make sure that everything's working as it should, you can just install a trust certificate. And it's literally as simple as clicking a button. And now that site will be SSL.
All right, SJ, your screen went black again. So I don't know if that's you meant for it to do that or if it just happened.
No, it shouldn't have gone black. It's not black to me.
Maybe we need to reshare again. And while he's unsharing and resharing to get that screen back, I'm going to say always use an SSL. In this day and age, put an SSL on it, even if you don't have it on your live site and stuff, because you're going to want to do that for SEO purposes. You can go ahead and share again, SJ, or get back to wherever you need to get. Not really sure. Sorry for the technical difficulties. As if it isn't enough, SJ is under the weather. I think the computers or Zoom or something might be under the weather too. So there you go. It's back. Now we see the front end. Free, standard, pro of Flywheel.
Okay. Is the...
There you go. Yep, we got it. That's it.
Okay, cool. Okay, so then you have your utilities as well. So if you want to use Mailhog and you want to test email and things like that on here, then you can do that too. You've got two buttons up here. You've got an admin and you've got a view site. So clicking on admin will just take you straight into the WordPress admin of the site. Clicking on view site will take you to the front end. So this just makes it simple. And this is really good if you're quickly going between installs and you just want to quickly access those installs. You can do that like this. So I'm just going to go into the admin of that site that we've just created and show you. So then you can just use the username and password that you set up. And you can log straight in and you can see.
Oh, we got his password now, folks. We got his password.
And you can see here, you've got a fully working version of WordPress. Pop onto the front end, and you can see that that's installed with the base theme, and that's all ready to go. So if you think about, I don't know about you guys, but I often find that I just have like a bout of creativity and I want to try and test something. But I want to test it in isolation, and I want to make sure that it's working on its own merits and not because there's code or something else somewhere else that's conflicting. You could set up hundreds of WordPress installs in minutes and have these available to go through and actually test, install Divi on one of them. And then this is the good part. So once you've installed Divi on one of them, I'm not going to do that because it seems to be running slow. But if you install Divi on one of these sites, then what you can then do is you can right click on the site and you can say save as blueprint. Now what that will allow you to do is just say, let's just say Divi blueprint. Again, it will allow you to adjust the PHP version on web server. Just click save blueprint. And what that will do is it will create a version of that site that you've just created, so that next time you install a local site through Flywheel Local, you can just use everything that you have set up on that site as is. So before you get too far into the process of kind of creating a website, you could just install the plugins that you use regularly, get your theme activated, and then save that as a blueprint. And now next time you come to that, you're able to just quite simply click one button, and then you've got another version of that site ready to go.
I have a quick question for you.
Yep.
Will it port over and save CSS or jQuery or anything like that as well? Okay.
Yeah, so it would be the equivalent of making a backup of your site and then installing it into on a different server.
That's
so
pretty
it's
cool.
Saving everything for you.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Talk about expedite time.
Yeah, the only thing that it's doing differently to just a standard clone is it's installing it onto a new version. So the admin or the WordPress tables, for example, will have their own names and things like that. So it's not a direct clone. It's a new site based on an old site.
Gotcha.
While that's saving as a blueprint, I just want to show you what else you could do. Okay, so that's saved. So what happens now, if I go to plus and add new site, I can just go to user blueprint, Divi blueprint, and then when I go to new site, I can create that site from the blueprint.
Boom.
So very, very quickly, after some minimal setup on the front end, I'm able to get to the next blueprint very, very quickly and start working. There's another way to do that as well. If you just want to create a copy of an existing site and you just want to install it straight away, you can just right-click on your demo install and click clone, and that will just clone the site for you. One thing that you may not want to do is you may not want to include all of the plugins and things that you use in a blueprint, because if you want to grab the most up-to-date versions of those plugins, it may be better to just install them each time. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be going to WordPress.org and grabbing those plugins every time. So I just want to show you one thing that you could do.
Okay. While you're doing that, can I ask you questions?
Yeah.
Do the local sites still get the same plugin updates when they're released?
Yeah, as long as you're connected to the internet. Okay. So it's essentially you're making your computer behave like your server. So if you're connected to the internet and you've got a local, you have to have local running, and it has to start the local version. As long as you have local running and you're connected to the internet, as far as I know, they're online. So they'll behave exactly the same way as other websites. And once updates are available, they'll send you the update links.
Awesome.
If you go to the plugin repo, then say, for example, there's a list of plugins. So let's just use Yoast as an example because it's nice and quick.
Great minds think alike.
I'm going to go onto a plugin page. So I might use Yoast on every install, but what I want to make sure I'm doing is I'm not just copying that from a blueprint. I want to make sure that I'm getting the most up-to-date version. So what I'll do is I'll look at the URL, I'll grab the slug, I'll copy that, and I will store that in a notepad somewhere, just so I've got that ready. And then what I can do is in local, I can right click, open up site SSH. And what that's going to do is it's going to open a command line interface for me. So what I can then do is I could say WordPress plugin install, grab that slug from earlier, copy it in. And if you're copying from a notepad file or something like that into the command line interface, you can't right click and paste. So you just have to right click twice and that will act as paste in a command line interface. So we've done that. And then we can just say activate. And what that is that's the WordPress CLI command for installing a plugin. So once we click that, you'll see that it's running through. It's installing Yoast SEO, downloading the installation package. So it's found, using the slug that we've entered there, it's found the relevant web page where that plugin is downloaded from, and it's unpacking the package for you. So if you think you could just make a list of the plugins that you use regularly, keep those in a file, and then you're just running this command instead of having to go into the plugins. So this is a preferable way of making sure that everything that you've got running is up. There are ways also to install themes this way, even if it's Divi, for example.
Hang on, SJ.
That doesn't live on the WordPress repo. You can install to, if we just go on. So if we just go to WordPress CLI,
Technical difficulties. Hang on a second, SJ. You have frozen for a minute there. I can hear your mouse click, so can you hear us or hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine. Is the screen frozen or is it just?
It's just you, and you had your world famous robot voice. So, but I think you're
okay.
You're good now. I can hear you now. You're still frozen.
I think I'm just trying to do too many things at once.
Yeah, I think you're good. I can see your mouse moving, and you're in the command line still.
Good. Okay.
While we're letting your computer catch up and stuff, Simon wants to know how easy is it to publish a site to a host other than Flywheel? Pretty quick.
Yeah. So the way we've been doing it is just using the all-in-one migration plugins.
Yeah.
So Java, I've done this. I've been using Flywheel for about local by Flywheel for about.
Uh-oh. We got a little laggage there. We're back to the robot voice.
And I've probably put a dozen, if not more, sites from local live. Working now?
Give it a minute. Let's let it catch up. You seem to be working now. I think what he said is he's done about a dozen live now. He uses all-in-one WP migration, which is an absolutely amazing wonder tool to migrate websites with. So obviously it works with Local by Flywheel. Did I pretty much get it right, SJ?
Yeah, probably more than a dozen times, and so far it hasn't failed once, which is better than kind of yellow on a live site. I've never had it fail going from local to a live server.
Okay.
So what you should be seeing on the screen there now is it's installed the plugin, it's activated the plugin, and it's given us a success message to let us know that's happened. So if we close the command line now and go on to our local demo, click on into the back end and go to plugins, and you can see that Yoast is now installed and it's activated. And we did that all from the command line. So setting up a bunch of plugins that you use regularly is going to be child's play using this tool, and it's going to save you so much time.
Awesome.
If we look at, if you just Google WordPress WP CLI, it's going to bring you up to the command line interface website. And it's going to give you some examples of how you can use WordPress CLI to do various things on WordPress. Now, it will show you how to download and install this, but with Flywheel Local, you don't need to because it's already included. So that's also saving you some time. So those are the features that I find useful. There is another feature that I want to talk about. One of the downsides that I always had with using a local installation over having things on a server is that I couldn't, if I wanted to, test on mobile devices without having them plugged into the rig and kind of connected to my computer. Also, couldn't then share a link because it exists on my computer. I couldn't share a link to a client to then say, what do you think about this? Which was a real drawback. But with local, you can do both of those things. So if you look at the bottom down here, there's a live link that you can enable. And this uses a service called ngrok.io, which essentially allows you to create a shareable link. So if I click on this, you can see there that I get a shareable link that I can then, if I want to, I can send it to clients and they can have a look at the site. If I need to test it from my mobile, I can just look at the URL on my mobile and I can make sure that everything's working properly. Now, this isn't going to give you the speed or the bandwidth to run a site off of your computer, but it's going to give you enough so that you can share a URL to the test site with clients so that they can offer feedback and then come back to you and you can make the changes that you need to do. So this overcomes one of the biggest downsides, if you like, of running local installations.
That's big.
Yeah, it's a huge thing, and you'd be amazed at kind of. I used to have to attach my phone to my computer and use an SDK to kind of pretend that I was, connected and things like that to test these things. I don't do that anymore. All I need to do is enable that link and then go on it on my phone, and the link will change each time you enable it and disable it. So, it remains a secure test site and you're not going to have people trying to access it and slowing down your site while you're trying to work on it.
Awesome.
So that's kind of the features that I wanted to go through. The main takeaways there are you can access WordPress CLI straight from within the user interface quite simply. Just right click on the link and open site SSH, and from there you can do WordPress CLI commands straight within the command line interface there. You can create clones of sites, you can create blueprints using sites in minutes, so that's going to save you a bunch of time. It's completely free. I think we can agree it looks amazing. It's very intuitive, it's user-friendly. So even if you're somebody that isn't going to use all of the features that are available when you right-click on one of your demo installs, it's still a good place to start. The fact that it uses Node.js to compartmentalize the installs means that every single install is going to work in isolation from the other ones. So you're not going to get crossover. You're not going to get, one messes up and it brings down all of the other sites. It only exists within its own compartment. And then you've got the live links as well, which I think is just one of the best features of it for me personally, because I love being able to just pick up my phone, type in the link and go.
Well, I don't know what Flywheel's, I've heard nothing but really good things about Flywheel as a hosting company. Most people that are with Flywheel give it 2 thumbs up. So I don't have any personal experience, but if judging by local by Flywheel of whether or not you may want to choose Flywheel as potentially a hosting company for your website, it's looking pretty good right now. I will say the only thing that I've run up against with Flywheel is high traffic e-commerce sites. Their servers we had to move away to a little bit more robust servers and stuff. So maybe they've since up to their game in that area and stuff. But man, this looks pretty awesome, SJ. I mean,
yeah, if you're somebody, and the good thing about this as well is that if you're using the Divi create extension to create modules and things like that, it's so simple to run that create extension once and then just clone your site each time you want to do a new test. So especially while you're getting to know how that tool works, if you mess it up, nobody cares because you can just blueprint it straight away again. And then you've got another site up and running in minutes. You're not there's no fear of messing something up and then having to spend another hour trying to run through that process to get it up and running again.
I do have a question here from Ali.
Okay.
What with URL changes when publish site? Still like go live plugins? Let me see if I can decipher exactly what he meant. What will the URL changes be when you publish the site? I guess might be the question. Is that it, Ali?
So when you are using local, you'll just have a local dash, so right. It will be local sites / local demo for this one. That will be the URL. That will run in the browser, and that's how you access the site. When you then move that to a new site, you would just do the same thing that you did if you were updating a website's URL. You would, adjust the URLs in WordPress settings. And then that's pretty much it. And then point the domain towards this new install.
Okay. Yeah. Seems pretty straightforward and easy. Well, this was a short webinar today. We're gonna let SJ go get some chicken soup and get the filling better.
I was gonna say, thank God it was short because I'm dying.
Yeah, well, why don't you go take care of yourself, my friend? Everybody, this is a pretty short webinar. I should have this up within the next day or so. So I was a day late on the last webinar because it was a massive file, an hour and a half 1080p video that I uploaded to YouTube. It took even my American internet some time. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. And it seems like we've covered all questions, SJ. And
if anybody's watching this after the fact and has questions, just drop them into the comments on Divi Space or on the Facebook video. And I'll get round to them and I'll answer them. But yeah, if you're one of those people that are using one of the other softwares to create local sites, give local a go and just see what you think, because I think it's definitely it's got potential and it's getting better every week.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really, really awesome looking tool. So, all right, everybody on Zoom and Facebook, we're going to check out now. Get some rest, SJ, and we'll talk soon. Hope you feel better. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.